Matthew 27:32 to 44. The King Crucified. Matthew records the events surrounding the crucifixion with solemn clarity. After the Roman soldiers mocked Jesus and led him away, the narrative moves toward Golgotha, where the decisive moment in redemptive history unfolds. As Jesus is led out of the city, Matthew writes that the soldiers found a man of Cyrene, Simon by name, and compelled him to carry the cross. The condemned often carried their own crossbeam, but the physical suffering Jesus had already endured, scourging, beating, and humiliation, left him weakened. Simon becomes an involuntary participant in the procession toward the place of execution, called Golgotha, meaning place of a skull. When they arrived, Jesus was offered wine mixed with gall. Such a drink could dull the pain of crucifixion, yet after tasting it, he refused to drink. The suffering he was about to endure would be borne fully and consciously. The crucifixion itself is described briefly, and when they had crucified him. Matthew does not elaborate on the physical horrors, yet the audience would have understood the brutality of this Roman method of execution. Nails fastened the victim to the cross, the body suspended between heaven and earth, exposed to agony and shame. After crucifying him, the soldiers divided his garments among themselves by casting lots. In doing this, they unknowingly fulfilled the words of Psalm 22, where the righteous sufferer declares, "They divide my garments among them, and for my clothing they cast lots." What appears as casual indifference from the soldiers becomes another testimony that the events unfolding are in accordance with the scriptures. Above his head they place the charge against him. This is Jesus, the King of the Jews. Intended as a statement of accusation and mockery, the inscription ironically proclaims the truth. The one condemned as a criminal is in fact the rightful king promised throughout the law and the prophets. Two criminals were crucified with him, one on the right and one on the left. This scene also reflects the prophetic pattern of the suffering servant who would be numbered among transgressors. Though innocent, he stands in the midst of the guilty, sharing the place of the condemned. Matthew then records the voices of mockery that surround the cross. Passers-by revile him, wagging their heads and quotes about the temple. "You who would destroy the temple and rebuild it in 3 days, save yourself." They challenge him to come down from the cross if he truly is the Son of God. The chief priests, scribes, and elders join the ridicule. They say, "He saved others. He cannot save himself. He is the King of Israel. Let him come down now from the cross, and we will believe him." Their words reveal both their blindness and the paradox of the moment. The reason he does not come down from the cross is precisely because he is accomplishing salvation. The inability they mock is actually the determination of divine purpose. They continue, "He trusts in God. Let God deliver him now if he desires him." Again, the echoes of Psalm 22 appear, where the suffering righteous one is mocked with the same words. What the religious leaders intend as scorn becomes further confirmation that the events are unfolding according to the scriptural testimony. Even the criminals crucified beside him join in the reproach. Surrounded by hostility, misunderstanding, and scorn, the king hangs rejected by the very nation to whom the promises had been given. Yet within this scene lies the culmination of the covenant story. The cross represents the climactic moment where the old order reaches its end and the promised redemption is accomplished. The Messiah bears the curse associated with the law, standing in the place of sinners and absorbing the judgment that belonged to them. The shame of the cross becomes the means by which the long-anticipated deliverance is secured. Thus, the crucifixion is not merely the execution of an innocent man. It is the decisive act through which the promised king establishes his reign, fulfills the prophetic scriptures, and accomplishes the redemption anticipated throughout Israel's history. The mockery, the inscription above his head, the dividing of garments, and the voices of scorn all serve to frame the moment when the suffering Messiah accomplishes the work for which he came. At Golgotha, surrounded by rejection and ridicule, the king is enthroned on a cross, bringing to completion the redemptive purpose foretold in the scriptures.